problem, we need to think about the electron configuration for element 37 rubidium, which is outlined in blue on the periodic table. So the right-hand side of the periodic table constitutes the p block, except for helium. And for rubidium, we know that we have used the first 3 rows of the p block. So we have 3 rows, and we know that we have 6 total columns of the p block that are in use. So the 6 columns times the 3 rows gives us 18 p electrons, so our final answer is B. When determining the number of significant figures, it's first important to notice whether or not the decimal point is present or absent. In this case, we do have a decimal point, which means we will be counting from the left at the first non-zero digit. We notice that after the decimal point, we do have 2 zeros, so those do not count as significant digits. But then we can start counting from the first non-zero number, which is the 5. And then we have the 4, 3, and 6 to give us 4 significant figures, so our final answer is C. For this problem, we first need to think about how many atoms are in 1 mole. And for this, we can use Avogadro's number to know that in 1 mole, we have 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd molecules, atoms, etc. And here we have a molecule. So we have 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd molecules, but we're asked for atoms. And so we see that CH3OH has 6 atoms. So if we multiply this number by 6, we're given 3.6 times 10 to the 24 atoms. So our final answer is D. For this multiple choice question, we first need to recognize that KCl is a salt. This means that it is an ionic compound, and when it dissolves in water, it will dissolve into its ions. So the K will become K+, and the Cl will become Cl-. So our final answer is B. For this multiple choice question about isotopes, we can think about a few different things, including protons, neutrons, electrons, and the mass of the different isotopes. But before we go into looking at the different response options, let's just find clues from the question itself. So the first clue we're given is that they are the neutral atoms of the isotopes. So what does that mean? That means we should be thinking about different numbers of electrons. And so we should ask ourselves, could there be an ion? And in this case, if it's a neutral atom, then there shouldn't be a difference in the number of electrons. And if we scan our response options, we see that the answer is C. They have the same number of electrons. And if you have time on the test to double check, then you can go through the other response options as well. For this problem, we can first remember that density is equal to mass per unit volume. So in this case, we need to find the volume of the cube, and we're given the mass. So I have this poorly drawn cube here because I'm obviously a chemist and not an artist. So we will convert between inches per side, and we will convert to centimeters, and we can just cube the unit conversion, and this will calculate through to 28.32 centimeters cubed. So going back to our formula up here, we can do density is equal to 36 grams over our 28.32 centimeters cubed, and we will get 1.27 grams per centimeters cubed. We see that we have 2 significant figures given in our problem, so our final answer is 1.3 grams per centimeter cubed, so our final answer is D. When determining the number of significant figures, we first need to look to see whether or not a decimal point is present or absent. If we have a decimal point, that means we need to start counting from the left. We see that we do have a decimal point, and so we're going to start counting from the first non-zero digit on the left. We can see that starting from the left, we have a non-zero digit of 1. So we can count 1, 2, 3, 4 significant figures. So our final answer is D.